First Rodeo Radio, where the race begins. The homies have reached the starting gate, and they're off.
Welcome to another episode of First Rodeo Radio. Today we are joined by a fellow New Jerseyan. We got John Kelsey here. He's the managing partner of Delta Thoroughbreds. Thanks for joining us, John.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's going to be fun.
John and I met, honestly, so many people, so many of my friends now is just horse racing through, I think, Instagram, right?
Yeah, well, you know what? I found you guys. I don't know. I came across you, and it was when you had claimed the Thunderer, and then you were getting him ready for Keeneland, and he ran Keeneland, and he won. I was like, wow, what a move. That's how I, you caught my attention.
Yeah, that horse was legendary, and now it's full circle. We'll get into the yearling we have together, but that name is in the pedigree, so I think that's very, very, very fitting. But I kind of want to start like I start most of the podcasts in terms of what all attracted you to horse racing and kind of how you got your toes into ownership as well.
Okay, well, I think I fell in love with it probably at 8 or 10 years old. My grandfather would take me to Monmouth Park. Right from the first day. I wasn't interested in the pony rides. I wanted to see those. I wanted to see the jockey colors. I wanted to see the horses, and I wanted to see them run. I became a halfway decent. When you're taught to read the racing form at 10 years old, you can kind of figure things out. I just had a good time doing it. My father was a horse racing fan as well, so I live about a mile from Monmouth Park, so getting there was never a problem. And that's where I got my first. That's where I fell in love with it. And then all through high school and college, I was the guy. I went to college in Virginia, but I was the guy who loved horse racing. And all the guys in Virginia didn't because they weren't, there was really no tracks down there at that time. And whenever they came up to see me, we'd all go to Monmouth Park and have a blast.
Yeah,
but that's how I started with it.
Yeah, Monmouth is such a gem. I think I took it for granted. I got in very similar to you. I would go once a year with my family to Monmouth, and very similar, kind of caught the bug from reading the form and enjoying kind of the puzzle of things and turning the $10 my parents would give me into, 20. I remember there's one really fun memory of like one year I thought I had it all figured out, whereas like I hit 2 races. I was like, I'm going to bet every single horse in this race. And then as long as the favorite doesn't win, I'll win money. The old 12, 13-year-old Matt didn't really figure out how those odds all played out, but Monmouth it's a great time, and I think it's a gem that needs to be protected. I don't know. Have you seen that new sports book yet?
Yeah, I was actually there before it opened. They did a little run through of the restaurant. I got invited over there. It's a beautiful room. It's a beautiful room.
How does it connect
they're
to the
pretty
horses?
Busy. They're doing well. How
does it connect to the? Is there like a section where you can see the track from it?
Yeah, it's in the. I don't know if you remember where they used to have a big like party tent that you could, on the first turn, and that's where it is now. So it's actually in the parking lot of the clubhouse. It's right off the patio terrace, but yeah, you have a view of the racetrack if you want to step outside.
Yeah,
and watch the races.
Yeah, I think that's the key. It's after going to Oakland for the first time in like 2-ish years now that the casino there is done. I think that to me is the gold standard for what these tracks need to start doing is have it naturally kind of feed into each other, where it's like, okay, like someone, 18, 20 years old, 21 years old might go to the sports book, but if the racetrack's right there and they're going there in the summertime to bet, college football futures or something else, I think making that racino or sportsbook casino vibe more like intertwined with horse racing, I think would actually help the businesses of both. And I think all the track executives should go out to Oakland and see how they did it down there.
Yeah, I actually started my other partnership down there at Oakland. I had a horse down there, and the first time I went to Oakland, I was there for the Arkansas Derby. I want to say it was 2014. I could be wrong on that. It might have been 2012, but I had never been to Arkansas. I'd never been to Oakland. And what a great place that is at that time of year, especially that week festival for the Arkansas Derby it blew me away. And then when I started my first partnership, I had a trainer down there, and that's where I started. And I used to fly down. I would fly down and watch the horses run. It was great down there. But what a nice casino. And I think they are trying to do that at Monmouth because we need to get the younger generations involved in horse racing. I've been going to Monmouth Park now for a long time, and I see the same faces. The only time I see young kids is on Haskell Day, and it is good to see. But it's jam packed now. The last 2 or 3 years on Haskell Day, a lot of young kids, and it's a great thing to see. But a normal day, a normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you don't see those younger generations like that.
Yeah, I think that's like our whole mission is to kind of make it so that way people have a reason to kind of get tuned in. And I think Monmouth's done a great job with the Haskell, but I think the question now that they've made the Haskell a big name event, I think now the question becomes, okay, how do we, retain that energy throughout the rest of the meet? And you really have to give people an incentive besides the big party on the one day to want to go back. So it's something to really think through there in terms of, okay, like what could they possibly do to incentivize, that crowd to roll over. And I think they do a lot in terms of getting people out to the track there more than elsewhere. Like the food truck days there are awesome. They have like some family fun days. Like I think they do a very, very good job of, trying to give people a reason to go to the track. But where my brain usually goes is, okay, how do we get, like you said, the younger generation a reason to want to go back? And, it being like a Keeneland, would be the gold standard. And, it's right near the beach. There's naturally things you could probably do there, but it probably takes a little bit more outside the box thinking.
Yeah, I mean, where I live in Monmouth County, I mean, it's a great area. It is right near Monmouth Park's very close to the beach. There's plenty of stuff to do at night, plenty of stuff to do during the day. And I think that's what management over there is trying to do. They're trying to get more people there. But, the past few years now, Monmouth Park, I mean, you call it a gem. I mean, it is a beautiful place. But we're cut down to 50 days now. And I think I already saw the legislation. It's 50 days again next year. So they're trying. The sports book, I hope, brings in more. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think they're handicapped by they don't have the purse subsidies from the casinos like the rest of the states do. So their purses just aren't as pretty. And I think I look every year at the Jockey Club, the Mayor's Bred report, and the breeding program in Jersey is pretty desolate now because of the lack of days. So I'm curious what's going to come out. I know there was some meeting at Churchill with all the regional breeding programs. So I'm hopeful that, states like PA and Jersey can kind of band together, even in Maryland, and kind of create a more cohesive incentive program for those regional, like Northeast.
Yeah, and even throw
tracks.
Virginia in there.
Yeah.
I mean, because as a Jersey, I've owned quite a few Jersey breds in my time. That's where the money is here. But, now with the 50 days, if you think about it, we start in, Memorial Day, we go to Labor Day. Okay, you have a good Jersey bred. How many times is he going to run? Or how many times is she going to run? And with races not going or coming off the turf, it's the incentive to own a Jersey bred it's not there. I mean, you can take what happens when you take a Jersey bred to Pennsylvania or somewhere else. It's they have to compete against one another, at this point, at least.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then you get a horse like Bookham Dano pop up and, put a Jersey back on the map. So that could always happen too. So I think that's a pretty amazing horse. I'm very good friends with Derek Ryan. I play golf with him all the time. That's our favorite horse.
He's got a nice horse there.
Yeah. I think he's done a great job managing him. He's keeping him in training. I mean, kind of nice that he's fixed because we're going to get to see him again next year. So we'll kind of see where things go. But let's take it back to when you first, so you went to the track with your father, got into it when you're 8 to 10 years old.
Yep, went to the track with my grandfather. My grandfather gets the credit. I did go to the track with my father, but my grandfather, Joe, took me and taught me. My father taught me as well, but I want to give my grandfather the credit there. And I just fell in love with it from day one. I followed it ever since. We had the days of Julie Crone and Chris Antley and Joe Bravo, who still rides. Um, and being that I live so close to it, it was just someplace I went. I was a lifeguard for about 18 years here. And if there was ever a rainy day, I got off work and I was at Monmouth Park because they were running 5 days a week back then,
Yeah, for sure. So at what point did you decide to dip your toe into ownership?
Well, like I said, I started with a partnership called Fantasy Lane Stables, and I was lucky enough to be involved with the horse Uptown Charlie Brown. The first one he might have been the second one I was involved with, but winning stakes at Tampa, going to the Tampa Bay Derby, going to the Lexington at Keeneland, and finishing third, I want to say. And then he ran in the Belmont Stakes, and to be going to the Belmont Stakes, I had never been to Belmont before, and all of a sudden I'm at Belmont as an owner, but not only as an owner, I'm an owner in the Belmont Stakes. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the coolest part about horse racing, in my opinion, is like a good horse will take you so many places. Like it's to be just. We were talking before we started rolling here about Oak. Oh no, we were rolling. We talked about Oaklawn, and the fact that I would never stumble upon Hot Springs, Arkansas. Like, I don't think you would have either. Like two Jersey guys, and the fact that I have, it's a beautiful part of the country. Like getting to see different places and. Getting to see Keeneland with a horse that you have in is second to none. I think there's something to be said about the beginner's luck in terms of like the Thunder and, Uptown Charlie Brown. And, it's kind of like the fishing analogy where you kind of set the hook. I think once you get by the bug and then they set the hook early, it always seems like people have a lot of luck with their first horses. So there's something to be said about that. You decided to join the partnership, kind of dip your toe in ownership, which I think is a great way for people to, see if it's something they like. And then at what point did you decide to start your own partnerships?
So I owned on my own for a while, and I like I told you, I did pretty well. I was better than break even, and it was just what it's like to be around a barn. I mean, like I said, I live a mile from Monmouth Park. To be able to go to the stable every day, and I just love being around them, and the feeling of pride I had to own my own horse, and it wasn't even when it wasn't a partnership, it was my own horse. I felt like the king of the world there. But I had a couple of good ones. I had a horse named Valentino's Gold, and I had a Jersey bred, and he was a claimer, but he was a Jersey bred. I had him for, I want to say, 5 years, and nobody claimed him. A lot of people knew me, and they didn't claim him probably for that reason, but he ended up winning 13 races for me, and it was just fabulous. I mean, if anybody, you're not supposed to fall in love with racehorses, but after 5 years, he was a tough one not to fall in love with because he had the best personality out of any horse I've ever been around.
Awesome.
That's where I started. So anyway, back to that. I started on my own. In 2018, I wanted to spread the wealth a little bit, get some friends involved. So I started Electric Rooster Racing Stable, and I ran that from 2018 till last year, 2024. And I don't want to say claim to fame, but I only had 7 partners, and I had an initial investment of $5,000 each. So it was $35,000 I started with. And I ran that partnership for close to 8 years, and I never charged a bill. I just kept, we won a couple, we rolled it over. The only thing that hurt me was COVID hurt me because everything got shut down. But I ended up claiming a horse for $10,000. His name was Day the Music Died. And I qualified him for the starter allowances, a cheap one. And he won, I want to say 11 in a row. It was fabulous. So
I'm looking him up right now. Let's see. All right. So you claimed him.
I claimed him for 10,000.
10,000. Yep. Went on and you won 16K. You won an allowance. Now there's a 2 condition.
Then COVID hit.
Yeah, then COVID hit. Then you came back and you were smart. You put him in a 5K right after he ran bad, right after COVID. He probably needed the race.
I got by the claim
Snuck
box,
him in,
and then it was sailing from there.
Yeah,
He
this
won quite a
is.
few after that.
Yeah, he really came around. Wow.
He was a really good horse.
Dang.
McLean's Music, he was a really good horse. He
Yeah.
just had a slight ankle problem. We kept him pretty healthy. I actually gave him surgery and brought him back, and then he won in a waiver, and then he ended up getting. I was surprised they claimed him, but they did eventually.
Yep.
But I think he was 7 by then.
He did great for you guys. Earned over 184K. So
Yeah, he did good for us.
that's a pretty crazy story there. I guess take me back to the time in terms of kind of what you were
So
thinking
let
and kind
me
of
add
like
one thing
your.
about the day the music died claim. Um, Before him, I had a couple of horses here and there. I would think I was down to my last 10,000. So I rolled the dice. I put it all in on day the music died, and that's what happened. So that is a really good story.
He kept the music playing for you guys for a while there.
Yeah.
Keeping the lights on. That's amazing. So, guys,
So,
kind of take me through your process in terms of claiming horses.
I like to see him on the racetrack, but I mean, I'm not a thoroughgraph guy. I'm not a sheets guy. I like the racing form. I have good trust in my trainers that I use. They have eyes on horses. I've picked a couple of good ones in the past, and my trainers picked a couple of good ones in the past. So it just kind of works out. I definitely like to see them with my own eyes before the race and just see if I get that feeling, you know. But
Yep.
that's how I claim. Well, before I get to Delta Thoroughbreds. So anyway, Electric Rooster, we were doing okay, but a couple of my fraternity brothers approached me and said, "Hey, would you, you're involved in horse racing. Would you do a partnership for us?" So I talked to the guys in Electric Rooster. I said, "I'm going to dissolve this, fellas, but I'm going to start a new one." So I dissolved Electric Rooster in 2024, and then I started Delta Thoroughbreds, which I just got up and running. And now I have everybody back from Electric Rooster, and I have a couple of the fraternity brothers plus, and now we're known as Delta Thoroughbreds. So we just made a nice claim at Keeneland in October, and he's going to run in about 2 or 3 weeks.
So take me back. So first, like, what's behind the name of Electric Rooster, and then what's behind the name of Delta Thoroughbreds?
Okay, Electric Rooster was in my head. I want to say, I've been a musician for most of my life, so I think that's where the electric came from. But the rooster part came from being on the backstretch or at the stables. And one day I saw one of the stable guys wearing a shirt, a really colorful shirt with a rooster on the back. And for some reason, I don't know how that wound up, but when I decided I was going to start my partnership, I said, it's going to have something to do with a rooster. And then I just said, you know what, Electric Rooster. I saw a neon rooster, which was on my silks, and that's where it was born. But it was born in my brain somewhere. I don't know. That was it. It was a combination of music and being on the backside.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think the silks were awesome. Like, I mean, he had over $420,000 earnings over
Yeah.
6 years. So you guys did all right.
Yeah, we did all right.
And then Delta Thoroughbreds, is that like an homage to the fraternity, I guess?
Yes, it is. It is for sure. And I thought Delta Thoroughbreds had with the Thoroughbreds on the end, it was a classier name.
Yeah, for sure. You guys have the silks all set up and all that fun stuff?
I do. Actually, I have them. Here's what they look like.
There we go. Some of the colors from Electric Rooster.
You know, I like the neon green, and then I got a Delta on there.
Yeah.
But they'll be you'll see them hopefully on December 27th in Aqueduct. We'll see what happens.
27. And that's the horse you got with Peter, right?
Yeah, I got it with Peter. I think I claimed him on October 18th. And he, it was funny. He was in a week before the horse. His name is Magnolia Midnight, and he was in a 32,000. And I said, I want this one for New York, and they scratched him that day. And then I tried a couple of others, and I was losing, 15-way shakes, 21-way shakes. I spoke to you on the phone.
Kentucky right now, yeah.
And I claimed the winner. I mean, I tried for the winner of one race, and then the horse that got second, there was a 21-way shake. Anyway, they put Magnolia Midnight back in the next week, and Peter called me and said that horse is back in. I said, well, drop on him, and if we get him, it's meant to be. So we won a 7-way shake for him. So I was pretty happy. He's a big, beautiful horse. What a class act he is. He's training good now, so I'm going to put him in the allowance optional 75 probably at Aqueduct on the 2 days after Christmas.
Yeah, that'll be
and see how he goes. Going a mile.
Yeah, that'd be super, super exciting. First race in the new Soaks will be awesome.
And my goal, I've never run in New York, so that's one of my big things. So being up there, I got my I'm licensed and everything's
got
approved.
The Soaks
I'm
colors
excited.
approved and all that fun stuff. They make it harder than anywhere else in the world, man.
I got my colors approved. I got my name approved. I got everything approved. So
yeah, you're ready to roll, then. Hell yeah. So I guess
it's just I do go up and watch him train. It's just not the fun. It's not the most fun drive to make in the morning. When I leave here at 4 and then going over the Outer Bridge Crossing up the Bell Parkway it's quite interesting when I do that.
It's not as easy as a commute as the mile to Monmouth Park.
Yeah.
But so you said you got about 15 guys in Delta, right?
Yeah, about 15.
What's the level of experience within horse ownership? Is it all guys that are fresh? I mean, the 7 from Electric Rooster, obviously, and then the 8 that are new. Are they all fresh?
Yeah, no, the new ones are pretty new, and, when I was starting it, I put I did a mass email to a lot of my old fraternity brothers, and, I was getting the questions, well, what's the return on investment? And is there a board of directors? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm the board of directors, and there is no guaranteed return of investment. This is to be involved in horse racing. And I sold them on it. And we're out to have a good time and watch the thrill of watching your horse come down the stretch is what it's all about to me. I mean, we need money to keep going, but I sold them on the fact that give me the money and just consider it ripped in half. And we're going to have a good time, and that's what we did in college. So that's what we're going to do now. We're just going to have a good time. And I think I started off on the right foot with this horse. You never know until he runs, but I think we have a good one here.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun regardless. I think that's a very similar thing that I tell people too. It's like if you're getting into it from an ROI, like I really don't want your money, like go just park in the S&P. Treat it like, you're going to a big sports game, but the sports game is going to last, many, many months rather than just, one night and you hope your team wins. I'll never forget when Clemson played at Georgia and North Carolina, and I traveled in for the game. I had graduated, and I'll never forget getting barked at after the game and wanting to kill somebody. So I'd much rather go put that money in some horses that I could have some fun with, rather than get barked at.
Exactly.
But
you know what it's like to be. I mean, a newbie in the business. I mean, we were all newbies at one time. Now I've been in it 15, 16 years. And I've seen a lot. And, for me, horse racing's a lot of ups and downs. I mean, that's all it is. And I've been punched in the stomach a bunch of times, but it's like they say, it's the highest of highs and the lows of lows when it happens. But to me, there's nothing else like it. And, when I hear somebody say, he's the biggest horse racing fan in the world, not about me, but about somebody else, I said, well, he might be, not necessarily the biggest, but because nobody will love it more than me. They might love it just as much as me, but I don't think anybody loves it more.
I love that. Yeah, I think the analogy I often have heard and give is like riding a wave with horse racing. You gotta enjoy when you get on the crest there and ride the good ones, because you're gonna fall on your face and have to skip a couple as well. Another thing, like I'm curious, like, any surprises so far in terms of the newbies, in terms of what sort of questions they have, what their experiences are? Because that's one thing that I really enjoy about what we do with First Rodeo is like kind of just getting to experience the first through somebody else's eyes and kind of what all goes into it.
Well, I try to keep everybody updated as much as I can. I'm getting a little anxious as the race day approaches because, as you know, there's 1,000 ways to lose a race and one way to win.
Yep.
It's going to be interesting the night before the race and the day of the race. Because I just want a good showing. If he runs good and finishes fourth, I'm going to say he ran good, and we'll try again. I'm going to prepare him for um, a win. You got to prepare him for a loss. Like I think I said behind closed doors, I said, well, I want these guys to see what it's like to win, but they're going to have to see what it's like to lose, because you got to get that feeling.
Yeah.
And you were talking about traveling to football games. I mean, I would travel to Penn National, drive 3 hours to watch my horse. And one time because I'm a school teacher, I left school at 3:00. I zoomed up to Hershey, Pennsylvania. My horse was in the first race in the Pennsylvania allowance race, the state bred allowance race. First race, I made it with like 20 minutes to spare. I was the only one standing outside because I love to go down by the starting gate. I'm the only one outside. It's freezing cold. And the horse won, gate to wire. And then we got in the car. Me and my trainer got in the car and drove home. And I've also done it on the other end where I've driven to Maryland, and that's a 3.5-hour shot for me. And, you're excited, and the horse runs out, and you go, well, this is going to be a long ride.
Yeah, I've got on flights and then horses have gotten scratched. So I've had that happen too. So like it's part of it. I mean, it's part of it.
I mean, Delaware's close to me. I drove to Delaware one time. My horse got scratched at the gate. I said, "Oh my God!" It's just disappointing when you're excited for it to watch that gate open and watch that horse come out. But I guess, but like you said about the newbies, I don't know if they could go through all the experiences I've been through in 16 years, but I'm going to try to prepare them the best I can. But I'm going to be the most anxious one out of anybody for sure, because it's my thing. All these guys, include with the Electric Rooster guys and then the newer guys, I mean, they invested in horse racing, but they really invested in me and what I know. But it's a lot of luck involved. It's a lot of luck.
100%. I guess what are some of the other goals that you have for Delta here? I mean, we'll talk about the yearling filling in a second, but maybe you can kind of break down what you're
You're going to know way more about her than I will. But my goal was in general, and nothing against Monmouth Park, but I wanted to operate on a bigger stage like New York and Arkansas, Kentucky. Bigger purses, better horses, bigger purses is my goal. I did want to, I did drop on a couple of horses with some partners trying to get one for Oaklawn, and I'm still going to get one for Oaklawn eventually. And I think then I'm going to use, like I mentioned Derek earlier, me and Derek are going to partner up and probably get one down at Tampa to start, and then bring him or her up here in the spring.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, definitely keep us in mind for Oaklawn. We've got one down there right now with Fox. We just claimed that at Churchill. Horse is named 270. Okay. He'll make his first start here, the first of the year. We're planning on it at least. Just broke his maiden for, I think, 20 or 30, I forget. But after that one, like we're wanting to keep the ball rolling there because purses are so good, and I think some bad horses win some good money down there in Oaklawn, so we kind of want to take advantage of that.
I mean, you know what it's like when you tell somebody that's not involved in the game, I want a horse for Oaklawn, and they're like, where's that? And I say, it's in Arkansas, and they all look at you cross-eyed. I'm like, I'm telling you, that's one of the best places to run a horse.
That's like, I think, or the way I would describe Hot Springs is it's like a southern, lower income version of Saratoga. If you strip Saratoga of all the glitzy stuff, so all the big money stays away, and just made it kind of more of a blue collar town, that's how I'd describe Hot Springs. I think Hot Springs is the place for me. I often say it's like Keeneland's 1, Saratoga's 2, but Oaklawn's a very, very close third for me myself.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with that. Keeneland, when I walked, I've been to Keeneland a handful of times, probably 5. And like I said, the one time for Uptown Charlie Brown I was owning, but what a fantastic place that is.
That's it. Nothing better. I mean, that's where I like to take people in terms of if they're.
I mean, that's why when I watched you guys claim a horse and do this, do that, then you run the first time at Keeneland and win. I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to do.
Yeah, I think it's. I recognize in the moment how lucky we were. As time has passed and as we've kind of experienced some of the lows, I really, really appreciate now how much beginner's luck we had at the beginning. I just remember Thunder hitting top of the stretch and like me just not like just blacking out from excitement, like not even thinking straight. Like that was a really, really great moment and something I'll never forget. And I think it's something that, I hope that others can experience through your group, through our group. I think that's what makes the game so great. I mean, you got World Series champions Jason Worth telling you that it's just as good as winning a World Series, so I'm not going to argue with him.
Right. I wouldn't argue with that. But yeah, so more about my goals. Like, yeah, I'm looking for, I was telling all my partners how excited I was because I said I wanted to, when I broke the news about the filly that we bought, a percentage. I said I've been wanting to do business with these guys. I want to be involved because I want to stretch my dollars as far as I can go. If I can get a $30,000 horse at Oaklawn, let's say, and we split it, 15-15, it's half the price bills. And I want to get as much action for everybody as I can and as much fun and excitement as I can.
Yeah, that's really our goal too. I think we do a fair bit of claiming, shaking and baking, just trying to get everybody a race a month. That's really my goal, is try to get everybody, each year's group, basically one race a month. Just claiming. Hopefully we can kind of grow that pie. We've had a rough time this year, a bunch of horses getting hurt in terms of that, which is kind of, put a stymie in the plan of making it sustainable enough where we can kind of give people back money at the end of the year, because we raise fresh every single year. But like the unraced money, I call our lottery ticket money, hoping to get the next Uptown Charlie Brown and get to experience the biggest race on the biggest days and the biggest stages. So that's really the goal there, is in terms of keep the dollar amount like sustainable enough where it's not going to kill us, in terms of we're not asking money for bills, so we're holding money in reserve. So we get small percentages on race horses, and I'm really, really excited for this Epicenter filly. So this is the first yearling you've bought into?
Yeah, it's the first one for sure.
Have you? So I guess with the Fantasy Lane, did you guys buy into 2-year-olds there?
Yeah, we did. He had a couple of different, I don't know, ABC partnerships going, and like you said, I mean, I hold my money. I have I have the money, and the money I didn't spend is in reserve, and that's going to be for the bills and everything else, and for more horses eventually. But this is the first yearling filly, and Epicenter was my Derby bet at the time. So when I saw the opportunity, I said, I'm going to take a shot, because that's what gives the game excitement, because it's an unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. And she looks like a big girl to me for her age.
Yeah, I think it's the Epicenter was the Rich Strike year, and I was alive to Epicenter in the pick 5. I had an Epicenter Zandin Exacta for more money than I usually bet on a win wager. So there's a video of me live reacting to Rich Strike coming up the rail.
Yeah,
and
I'm sure I had the same one.
I'll never for that is from that moment I'll always handicap the AEs, because I used to skip the AEs. So from that point on, Rich Strike taught me always look at also eligibles.
Or just, and if you like a horse that when wheel it up and down, then, because that was amazing.
Exactly, especially in the Derby where things get crazy. But yeah, Epicenter first crop stallion, so he's a bit of an unknown as well. And really, any yearling is an unknown. You're buying based upon looks, buying based upon a walk. We primarily use a bloodstock agent, Oracle Bloodstock, for yearling purchases, but this one was actually selected by the trainer, Tom Malloy. I actually went with him the last day before I left the sale, where I was walking around with him looking at horses, and this is one of the last horses I looked at, actually. There's a number of different episodes. He had a couple of stallions that he was looking at in particular that he thought fit within his budget, Epicenter being one of them, and this was definitely my favorite one of the day. And then it was funny because I was on the plane afterwards, kind of going through my notes on my iPad for all the horses we looked through. And I don't really look at the pedigree when I'm looking at the horses, because I'm just trying to, learn. I'm asking him questions, and I'm also just trying not to be biased, where it's okay, if I see a bunch of black tape on the page, I'm naturally going to talk myself into liking the horse. Scrolling through, and I was like, okay, this is one I really liked. Looked at the pedigree, and right under it, I was like, okay, second dam, delightful, placed at 3 dam of 4 winners, including the Thunderer. I was like, well, this is kind of poetic. The first horse we claimed was with Tom, the Thunderer, that won for us. So it was really a chance to get in on the same family as the Thunderer. So it was kind of perfect. And I told Tom, like, hey, we're interested in this one if you end up getting it. And then when he got it for 15, I was a little nervous. I was like, Tom, are you sure? Like, we vetted this thing? Like, it seemed like it looked too good of a price, but I guess there are a lot of epicenters in the sale. This one was a bit passed over because, I mean, the pedigree itself isn't super charming in a sense that there's not too much black type underneath the two first dams. So I mean, the second dam, like, we know that she threw the Thunder, which is a hard knocking horse. So I don't feel nervous at all about not having any black type underneath her, because to me, the way Thunder, like, for me, more or less, it's like the heart that's in the horse. I think that's a big thing that gets passed on. And I can actually just ask my buddy who's a breeder to pull the produce record on the first dam, because this is the second. She's the second foal out of this dam. The first foal made the races after the sales. So that horse started October 31st. If you want to stable this one up, it's Dutchman's Map.
Okay.
Horse was ran at Laurel, debuted going 5.5 on a rained off turf event. Didn't run great. I mean, notes his bump start outrun. I didn't watch it. Numbers aren't impressive, but in maiden special weight, came back around 2 turns on the turf. And this one's by Liam's Map, so totally different, pedigree there in terms of, you're looking at the Unbridled Song line versus More Than Not This Time line with the epicenter. So who knows? But that horse has made the races at least, which is kind of a good sign. Typically, like, there's a superstition in horse racing. The second foal is often the best foal by the dam. Okay. More of a myth, I think, than anything else. But for what it's worth, it's like second dam, and then looks like she was bred back to Matoli, but the foal didn't seem to make it, which is kind of a sad news, I guess, and then was bred back to Jackie's Warrior. So young, looks like they're kind of sticking with the younger stallions with this dam. I'm excited in terms of kind of what all is going to come for it, but the process, I think, is with a yearling. This is our first time buying yearlings too. We bought a piece of 2 of them there in September. I think I've been to the 2-year-old sales, and 2-year-old sales are nice because you kind of have a chance to get to the races a little bit faster and a little bit more. But when you're not coming in with a ton of money and you're not wanting to blow your load on these unraced horses,
right?
I think the 2-year-old auctions make it a little bit harder, I think, to find a diamond in the rough. So that's kind of why we decided to stick with some yearlings this year. And the process is fun. I mean, I worked on a breaking and pre-training facility down in Ocala, so I know how it goes in terms of that early education. And it's pretty wild getting the horse used to a saddle, used to the bridle, used to the rider. So she's progressing well. I mean, you really don't know for a very long time. It's a lot of just groundwork, then you get a rider up and you kind of just build up. And then, you kind of get released to the trainers, and then from there they kind of take over the program. So we really won't know until this horse, gets to Tom and starts, really breezing. So we could be hopeful that this horse gets there. I think Tom said it's gonna move to a training facility here in Kentucky in a few weeks, and then she'll kick on from there. So we'll see. I mean, I'm very excited. She seems like one that, to me, like, to my untrained eye, may be a later horse. But then again, like, what do I know? I have a very, very novice eye. But regardless, I think it's one that should be a ton of fun for us, and I'm excited to get the guys going here.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to add some diversification to us, so that everybody got real excited when I told them we were involved with a baby, And I mean, she does look good. Like I said, to me, in the one picture I saw of her, I haven't seen her obviously in person yet, but she looks pretty big for her size. I mean, she's a late foal, right? April.
Yeah, late April too. Yeah, April 22nd she was born.
So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I got to get down there, and we got to meet up down, and I got to meet Tom soon too, just to say hello. And
yeah, you'll love Tom. Tom's a great guy. We should try to coordinate a trip. I would say probably later on in the year. Like right now, it's going to be they've had 5 inches of snow last night at Turfway, so
Yeah,
they're under snow. I think it's supposed to be a pretty aggressive winter, so maybe you know March time frame or
yeah,
early April.
definitely.
Maybe we can try to link up for the first weekend of the Keeneland beat there in April, and
Yeah,
we
that
could do
sounds
that
good. Or
maybe.
and, and I'm definitely open for um, looking at something at Oaklawn for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Because that's the place I want. I mean, that was like I said about my goals. It was New York #1, and that's why I went with the big boy. I wanted Delta to have their own horse first. Because I mean, I'm a claiming guy, and I wished I had unlimited funds to buy some of these babies. But these prices that these 2-year-olds are going for now are, to me, astronomical. And you don't know, and you still don't know what you're getting. Some
yeah.
of the, most of the time. So I wanted to get what I thought was a heavy hitter, maybe and run for upwards of 60, 70,000 per race, and that's what I that's why I landed on this horse right now. But like I said, I'm interested in partnering up and just having the action for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's it's Jeff Boschwitz sent me the article that he wrote, and it's like statistically, like it's a better deal to claim a horse than to buy it at any of the auctions. Like it's from a pure ROI perspective. He did an analysis of like all top 600 horses over a number of different like full crop years, and claiming is a more sustainable enterprise than going to the auction. So I think balancing both, I think, is fun because I think it gives people the lottery ticket dream, gives us the lottery ticket dream because you really never know, but it also gives us a chance to have some action, to have, it's tough. I mean, you never really know. Like Yearling could go on and she could win a bunch of stakes races and take us, a bunch of
Exactly.
places, or it can never run. So like, it's
Exactly.
and like when you have
But
new people, I think it's important that you give them something.
I'm rational in the fact where I feel there needs to be an upside. When I see a horse sell for $1 million, I go, well, how are they going to make that on the racetrack? Really? And, unless they are a Triple Crown contender, how are they going to make $1 million? Okay, so that if they do turn out to be that and they go off to breed, then they will make that back. Like going back to Uptown Charlie Brown, I think he was purchased for $57,000. I mean, there was an upside there.
Yeah.
And claiming, like, I mean, I don't want to start throwing names around, but I mean, look at what Linda Rice does at Keeneland. How many horses did she claim? She claimed 2 out of the race I was trying to get 1 out of. And she did it multiple times because I think that's more realistic of an upside than buying a baby or an unraised horse.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too to see the differences between what's happening at the track and what's happening in the sales ring in terms of, okay, setting records, and then you have racetracks that are struggling. You have the lower level tracks are closing. I mean, I think there's some reasons to be wary too. With I think down in Florida, I think like they're trying to make historical racing machines like HHR, whatever like the slot money is. They're trying to do it with like motorsports instead of horse racing, which obviously would break the model that's funding a lot of these large purses that we're chasing. So that's very scary, as well as the prediction markets. Like I always get the ads for like Kalashi and Polymarket to like bet on football here in Texas, and in a sense, like we're almost lucky that horse racing isn't super popular because it's it would be a better deal for the bettor if, like, I mean, if it's pari-mutuel through a prediction market that's taking a smaller rake and you're locking your odds, it's if that ever came for horse racing, I think it would be very difficult. I think it's something that, needs to be kind of considered now in terms of a long-term sustainability thing. And I always ask people the magic wand question, so I'm about to ask you that. But like mine is like we have to modernize the wagering menu and get with the times and give people a reason to get introduced to the sport. And I think the way to do that is through like prop bets and having more alternative bets that we have now in terms of, okay, my cousin doesn't know anything about horse racing, even though I've been in their ear my whole life. They know Irad and Jose Ortiz, and you give them a line. Okay, how many wins will Irad and Jose have on this card at
Okay,
Saratoga today? 5.5 over
I
under.
see what you're saying.
So we'll see, but I think that the things like that would at least give people a reason to start getting more interested into it. And I think it'll naturally increase the popularity of the sport, which will feed into more fans of the pari-mutuel wagering, which I think needs to be a thing. But I'm curious what your magic wand. It's you can change anything about horse racing within any facet of it. Money doesn't matter. Getting buy-in from anybody is included. What would you do to make the sport better?
What would I do to make horse racing better? I like that idea about the prop bets. That's something had never crossed my mind. Modernizing the different, wagers available like that. That's interesting to me. I don't know. The way I see horse racing now, I mean, the future of it, like I said, I wanted to get more more younger generations involved. I don't know if I have an answer of what I would do to make horse racing better. I'm just happy to be involved in it. And it's so exciting for me to be involved in a horse that's going to run at Aqueduct soon, and just to be involved and to be the head of my own partnership that I started is just that's enough for me. I don't know if I could come up with something that would make it better. Take out stop paying so many salaries to people that shouldn't be getting them. I don't know.
Let's go to the rapid fire questions here and close it out if that's cool with you.
Yeah.
All right, so all should be like one word or short phrase answers.
Okay, I'll do my best.
All right, favorite racetrack?
I'm going to say Monmouth Park.
Fair. All right, favorite horse of all time?
I'm going to say Skip Away on that one.
Okay. All right, favorite race to attend, so big race day to attend.
Favorite race to attend? I've been to only one Kentucky Derby, and that was the year Smarty Jones won. I've been to quite a few Breeders' Cups. I would have to give it to I would have to say the Breeders' Cup. I would like to go, and anywhere. I would like to attend the Breeders' Cup at Keeneland.
Yeah, I think it's coming up next year too. I think that'd be pretty special for sure. All right, you said you're a musician, so I'm gonna add this question in here. If you had a walk-up song, so for all your horses, they hit the track, you have to pick a walk-up song. What would it be?
Well, I'm a heavy metal guy, and I don't know if you've ever, I'm sure you've seen my Instagram post. So usually every post has some sort of song involved in it. The number one song for a walk-up song for one of my horses. I've always been a really big Metallica fan, but I'm gonna give it to maybe an AC/DC song, especially with the new horse. He's big, he's black. I'd have to say Back in Black.
Love it. All right, so here's an interesting one. If you had to create a billboard, so a short phrase to, market horse racing, why you love it, what would you put on that billboard?
Probably something with the word, well, I got what I want to say probably couldn't go on a billboard. It's better than sex.
We can put some asterisks there. we can get it approved.
Yeah, something along the lines with the word thrill in it. Like there's no thrill like it. There's no thrills like that to see your horse win.
100%. All right, so it could be racing or unrelated to racing. When you hear the word successful, who is the first person you think of?
Successful?
Yes.
Well, a trainer popped into my mind. Todd Pletcher popped into my mind for some reason. I think he's pretty successful.
Yeah, 100%. All right. Do you have a quote you live by or think of often? This is the last one.
Another one I probably can't say on a podcast. Let's see, a quote I live by. Yeah. Life is short, so do what you can when you can.
I love that. All right, John, any last parting words here before we close it out?
No, just that I'm super excited about Delta Thoroughbreds. I'm super excited to be involved with you guys on the Philly. Horse racing got us to know each other. I mean, I kept messaging you on Instagram, and then I got to meet you at Monmouth Park this summer, and then it turned into like a semi-partnership. So I mean, building friendships is a good thing, and getting to know new people. And I think I'm probably a little bit older than you. So cross-generational and stuff like that, it's good to do. I mean, I'm super excited to know you now. So hopefully we'll do some good things in the future.
Feeling is mutual. I think that's probably the best part of horse racing is the people you meet along the way.
Definitely.
Hell yeah. All right, well, excited to see Magnolia Midnight here in a couple weeks, and for Delta Thoroughbreds to get off the ground, and hopefully we're standing in a winner's circle after a stakes race here soon.
I hope so.
All right, thanks, John.
All right, man.